Hello, casually hardcore fam. This is Nick back again with another video for you guys. And today's video is going to be something a little special and near and dear to my heart. I apologize already for it being a late night upload, but something truly incredible happened yesterday, and I feel like sharing that kind of tribute with y'all as well. Believe it or not, yesterday was the 10-year anniversary of the release of Halo 3. 10 years since that game came out back in 2007. And the reason why it's so special to me was that was my first 360 game. It was the first game that got me into competitive multiplayer and social multiplayer, and so many memories from Forge and custom games all the way to making my first Xbox 360 friends. I honestly played free-for-all and sent people messages saying, hey, I'm such and such, I'd like to play some more. So it's very near and dear to my heart, and I wanted to create this video to kind of share some memories and what my favorite moments were, and kind of let you know that Halo is still thriving till this day. But I guess let's tribute back to some of the classics. So in the background you'll be seeing actually Halo 5, and the reason being is that 343 and the amazing foragers of the Halo community created a Halo 3 throwback playlist. So if any of you have Halo 5, I recommend you going and checking it out. It is phenomenal. They got rid of all of the boosts, the running, the sprinting. It's the classic Halo formula with a bunch of really cool Halo 3 maps remade in Forge, and I'm telling you, they're pretty damn good. It's pretty spot on. Now, I will say this, it's not all the Halo 3 maps as much as I'd love for that, but the ones they chose here it's quality over quantity, and it's a nice little remembrance for what Halo 3 was in terms of a different multiplayer. So it's not like the Reach anniversary remake map pack, but it's perfect enough. I feel like the community making Halo 3 maps means more than 343, considering 343 wasn't around at that point. So kind of going into it, 10 years, man, that's nuts. Halo is a beast. I can't believe it's been around for so long. Halo is my favorite franchise of all time, and to see it still thriving around today and being a huge sci-fi icon, nonetheless gaming icon, is surreal to me. And I guess we'll hop on to some of the stories. So originally I had the OG fat Xbox, right? And my first Halo was Halo 2. And I played it at some of my little brother at the time, and I had no idea about the 360, and I had no idea about Halo 3, and I had no idea about anything. And I went into a friend's house, and he had a 360 in his loft, and we played it all night long, a ridiculous amount of hours. And I decided to go home that night and create Forge maps on paper, because we messed around with the Forge, and I thought that was insane. I wanted to build all these super cool levels and design a whole bunch of cool, crazy things. Little did I know at the time that there's Forge budgets and memory budget, but at the time it was just such a magical experience. It got me hooked, and Halo 2 and Halo 1 at that point were really firing my desire for a sci-fi shooter, considering Star Wars shooters, which were my other favorite, were kind of on the decline, and Halo was kind of on the ramp. So for about 2 weeks straight, I would design these Forge maps, quotations here, and I would give them to my buddy to create, and I would go over to his place and we would create Forge maps. And that was one of the highlights of my time. And so eventually it's like, look, I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to get a 360. I wanted to get Halo 3. I wanted to get Xbox Live multiplayer and play with my buddies, and kind of get that next step. And so I begged and pleaded with my dad and my mom a little bit too, to get a 360 and Halo 3 with it, because at the time I wasn't allowed to play mature games, but they didn't know about Halo 2 being mature. So shout out to their naiveness there. But I eventually got Xbox Live Gold, and the first map I ever played on was Snowbound. And actually, eventually on later in this game clip, you will actually see some Forge gameplay of Boundless, the revamped version of Snowbound that actually made its way into Halo 3 multiplayer. Fun fact there. So I originally played some free-for-all, and I met this guy called Michael Wolf, and he was kind of the gateway to custom games, which was custom zombies. So you had Fat Kid, Ice Cream Man, Alpha Zombies, you name it, and Ring Around the Rosie. So many fun custom games, and I met so many cool people online on top of it. I mean, that was kind of the point in Xbox Live's history where going online and talking a lot and meeting a lot of people was relatively new in a sense, because everybody was kind of coming on at the same time. So it's kind of a really surreal experience to kind of be like a pioneer for that era. And obviously, the PC had that way before we did, and the OG Xbox had Live. But for the majority of people kind of latching on at that point, this was kind of the gateway to it. So custom games was the next big thing, and then eventually I got into game battles, which is way before MLG or esports and the whole MLG scene takeover. And me and my buddy would play doubles, we would play team SWAT with 2 other guys, and we would do these online game tournaments and game battles, and that was kind of my first taste of actual competitive shooters. And so not only was this game kind of like popping my cherry for better or for worse in terms of like social multiplayer, it also kind of got me and introduced me into competitive multiplayer and kind of what it took to compete at higher tier levels, or what I dubbed higher tier levels. Will it actually be high tier? Who knows? But I claim it to be, so I win. So that was a ton of fun. And then Forge was a huge gateway for me. I made this Forge map called Forge Tower, Gate Tower, or something Tower, and I eventually got through 3 versions of it, right? And it was on the Map Foundry, one of the first map packs ever introduced for Halo 3. And it eventually got onto Bungie Favorites. So Bungie Favorites, for those who weren't around for that, was every week there would be top 5 to top 10 screenshots, video clips, and Forge maps and game types. And they would rotate around each week, and they would allow the community members like us to download them, play them, share them, etc. And through inviting a ton of people and doing these test parties for testing my map out for bugs, etc., it eventually got the attention of them, and it made the list for a week. And that was kind of the holy grail of my Halo experience, besides doing the Vidmaster achievements, which I will touch in later. But yeah, it was pretty great, especially as a guy that kind of started the whole shebang with Forge. It was really cool to kind of reach the pinnacle of what at the time you could really achieve. Now the Forge tools from now to then are leagues and night and day. Like the maps you're seeing here, you couldn't create in Halo 3 Forge. Halo 3 Forge is kind of like Fallout 4's creative settlement. Also kind of like Fallout 4's Forge. I'll just dub it that. Very basic, very linear, stacking blocks on top of each other and trying to manipulate the physics and geometry. But it was pretty great. So that was kind of the highlight. And then the other coolest thing was it was the first game to introduce me to seasonal events. At the time I was playing a ton of RuneScape, so I had played a bunch of RuneScape Halloween and Christmas, etc. But for multiplayer, they did a live zombies mode where everybody would come in and play, and that was awesome. Like actual matchmaking and not having to do through custom games and leading people. Like you could actually just log in and play, and I thought that was fascinating to have. These community members and game developers actually acknowledge holidays and create something for it, and it was super cool. And like they had this cool file share feature in terms of like I had a bunch of cool Halloween screenshots, game types, videos. It was like this month of it's like Halo-tober or Shocktober or whatever it was, and oh man, it was super cool. So that was kind of another favorite memory of mine. And I guess to kind of go off of that, the Secret Santa custom games were a ton of fun, and Fat Kid or Fat Santa. So eventually around Christmas time, obviously things were changing as well. So they had themed Christmas updates. So they had pictures, screenshots, game types, and one of them was, or two of them was Secret Santa and Fat Santa. Fat Santa being a alternate type of Fat Kid, and Secret Santa being another zombie type as well. So basically one of them would be the Secret Santa would be an invisible zombie dressed in red as like Santa, and everybody else was green like the elves. And so basically he would lurk around, like you would all hide in houses and he would lurk around trying to kill you, and it was a ton of fun. I met a lot of really cool people online during that month, and it was a really fun time for me. And in that other note, the Fat Santa was just a spin-off, like a cosmetic standoff of Fat Kid. But the true part was just meeting a ton of people and enjoying a game so much. Just feeling real emotion over online games. I don't really have that like I used to. I don't know if it's because I'm older or it's because that charm as a kid you can't really ever get again. But it's just I have this nostalgic feeling for this love for this game, and it's just surreal. And I keep stumbling up my words here, but I'm kind of having this flush of nostalgia as I think about all these old game types and the people that I used to talk to. But and then I guess we'll kind of go into the second part of the Halo 3 life cycle, which was the Halo 3 ODST. Now that sucker, that was awesome. So for those who do not know, Halo 3 ODST was a spin-off as an ODST shock trooper that was built off the Halo 3 engine, and that I can tell you, we'll say, I'll try to record some gameplay for that later on. But that was an awesome experience. There was another silent protagonist, but instead of you being a super Spartan soldier, you actually were vulnerable, and it gave you another sense of Halo, because originally up to that point you would just smack everything and kill everything, no big deal, no issue. But now you had to take cover, you had to think about your squad mates, you had to think about the Marines fighting alongside you, you had to be more tactical. And it was also a lot more darker too, because not everything was all hunky-dory because, oh, I'm a super soldier, I can do whatever I want. Now it's like you could actually see the effects of what the Covenant had on humanity. You could see the damage and that we were actually losing. It was perfect, and it was almost, if it wasn't for Reach, I would say it would be a perfect swan song for Bungie in that note. But and like I said earlier in the video, this is Snowbound, the first ever map I played on in Halo 3. So it's kind of funny that it's also the last game clip as well. So before I leave you here, I wanted to give everyone a kind of update. We have a huge Halo, or Halloween themed month ahead for you guys. It's dubbed. I'll have a video up this weekend about it. We put a lot of effort into everything. It's gonna be really, really cool. So expect for this schedule. I know this week's been a little weird, but expect this tonight. Expect our podcast episode 2, this video enhancement, to be on Friday, and Sunday expect the Halloween update for what we're doing. It's going to be really, really exciting, and we have a lot of fun stuff in plan. We have a bunch of really cool guests in plan, and I'll go more in depth in that in the video. But yeah, I really feel like this is going to be our best month yet, considering Battlefront Beta comes out. So, but enough of that. I'm going to leave you with a little bit more gameplay here. It's going to have just some Halo music in the background. Just kind of enjoy the nostalgic feel. And once again, thank you for joining in and listening to another Casually Hardcore video. I cannot do this without the support of you. It truly makes me love what I do when people actually watch our videos and comment and say, hey, I like this, or hey, I enjoyed it. And it really makes all the difference. So have a good night. Thanks again, and peace out. Bye, guys.